Big breaking news. All eyes are now going to be on the bilateral between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Italian Prime Minister Meloni. Earlier, we saw the moment that has broken the internet, that has got the social media buzzing. And after that, of course, all eyes are now on the bilateral talks that are going to take place. The focus, of course, is on strengthening ties between both the nations and boosting trade between India and Italy. So on one hand, you have these visuals coming in that talk about the rapport that the Prime Minister shares with his counterpart, Italian counterpart. Many also talk about the chemistry between both the leaders. And on the other hand, there's a political firestorm over this video with the opposition hitting out at the Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi saying there's an economic storm looming over our heads and the Prime Minister is busy distributing candies. Meanwhile, of course, the focus is going to be strictly on the bilateral between Giorgia Meloni and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So on your screens is the video that everyone's talking about. Prime Minister Narendra Modi handing over a packet of Melody Toffee to his Italian counterpart, Giorgia Meloni, in Rome. And her reaction, she calls it very tasty. This light-hearted exchange has sparked a viral trend online. From official diplomacy to a sweet social media moment, this Melody moment is trending online, proving that even a simple gesture can win hearts worldwide. Let's take a look at how it unfolded.
Prime Minister Modi brought us a gift, a very, very good toffee. Prime Minister Modi brought us a gift, a very, very good toffee. Prime Minister Modi brought us a gift, a very, very good toffee. Prime Minister Modi brought us a gift, a very, very good toffee. Prime Minister Modi brought us a gift, a very, very good toffee.
Leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi has launched a sharp attack on the Prime Minister over this viral Melody moment, alleging that while the country faces economic distress, farmers, youth, women, labourers and small traders are suffering. The Prime Minister is busy with optics, calling it nautanki, not leadership. Rahul says the country is in crisis while the Prime Minister is busy making reels, turning a viral, light-hearted moment into a full-blown political flashpoint.
बीजेपी वाले मेरा मजाक उड़ाते हैं। नरेंद्र मोदी ने जो करना था पिछले 3 महीने में, जो आपकी प्रोटेक्शन करनी थी, जो दीवार, आर्थिक दीवार खड़ी करनी थी आपके लिए, वो उन्होंने नहीं की। उल्टा वो जाकर मेलोनी जी के साथ टॉफी खा रहे हैं।
Not in good taste. I'm sorry, he represents 140 crore Indians, and these are times of crisis. In these times, Prime Minister of India, a country like India, is expected to act with some sobriety. Sorry, there is nothing more than naughty. What are you trying to do? Trying to get traction on social media? Is that what you are there for? Is that your only objective as Prime Minister of India? People of India expect the opposition to give voice to what the people of India are thinking about their government today. And if we fail to do that, we will be traitors.
All right, so you heard Pawan Khera, they're taking a jibe at Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We have Mohit and Kritika both getting us more details on the political controversy around the video. Let's go across to Mohit first. Mohit, Rahul Gandhi says that there's economic distress in the country. The Prime Minister is busy eating candies with Giorgia Meloni. Then you heard Pawan Khera as well hitting out at the Prime Minister. That one video, on one hand, has generated maximum views on social media. On the other, has led to a massive flashpoint politically.
Well, yes, in fact, as you rightly pointed out, this video has completely broken the internet. It's going viral. Millions of views have come on this particular video. While we see that how Rahul Gandhi and the other Congress leader, or in fact the other opposition leaders, they are coming out, they're attacking Prime Minister Narendra Modi, saying that while the country is in financial distress, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is handing out candies in Italy. But then BJP calls it toffee diplomacy. Kiran Rijiju, senior union minister and another senior leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party, says he has shared this particular video and said that sweetness of Bharat and warmth of diplomacy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has a thoughtful gesture of gifting Melody toffee to Italian PM, turned a simple gesture into a memorable moment of friendship and smile. So the BJP says that it's kind of a diplomacy, sweetness, warmth of diplomacy. These are the light-hearted moments that Prime Minister has shared with his counterpart from Italy. The BJP calls it toffee diplomacy. While on the other hand, we see that how Rahul Gandhi and other Congress leaders, or in fact the other opposition leaders, they have attacked Bharatiya Janata Party, saying that the country is in financial distress, but Prime Minister is handing out toffees. But yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi shortly from now will be engaging in bilateral. Various announcements are being expected from this particular important tour of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Italy. So that was a light-hearted moment, the BJP says, that was shared between the two heads of their state, and there is no need to politicize this particular issue, because Prime Minister has gone over there to get something for the country, to get deals for the country, and that will surely happen. It was just a toffee diplomacy, BJP says, between the two leaders.
During these summits, during these meetings, there are both formal and informal interactions that take place. I want to quickly go across to Kritika. This term, melody, hashtag melody, was actually coined by Giorgia Meloni, and then, it got popularized. It was first coined in 2023. After that, every time both leaders shared space and appear on the screen, the entire internet, social media, we're living in that age, gets flooded with that hashtag. So this particular gesture of the Prime Minister carrying with him a packet of melody toffees from India, from that point of view, is significant. It's an informal interaction.
Well, of course, we've already seen both Prime Ministers, in fact, share light-hearted moments. This is not the first instance in any way. There have been multiple, in fact, videos that both of them have taken together, a lot of selfies that have also flooded and similarly broken internet on previous occasions as well, wherein both Prime Ministers have met each other. Now, melody, as you rightly pointed out, is also something that Ms. Giorgia Meloni herself had put up on a social media post as well. Today, however, with the Prime Minister gifting that melody packet to the Italian Prime Minister, it is in fact turned into a lot of political controversy, with specifically now the leader of opposition, Rahul Gandhi, terming it as ill-timed. What he is stating is that this gesture is coming at a time wherein the farmers, women, traders, as well as students are all crying, and the Prime Minister, the Indian Prime Minister, is going around sharing the packet of candy, laughing about, and this is no time.
Stay on with us. We're getting the latest visuals. Now, all eyes are going to be on the bilateral that will take place next, and there are visuals and images coming in. Let me go across to Srinjoy. Srinjoy, before we talk about the formal setup, before we talk about bilaterals, you've covered several such visits and summits. Do leaders not have a light-hearted exchange? Do they don't talk about personal things and informal exchange? Last time, when did you see that being blown into this political fight?
There have been light-hearted exchanges a lot of times, even with someone like Xi Jinping, if you remember. He was there, and there were photographs of Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping together sitting on a swing. So these light-hearted moments have always happened. Then there was that famous chai pe charcha that has happened. So a lot of these moments have happened in the past. I mean, there's no dispute about that. But now comes the most important part of this visit, the bilateral. And what really happens is, if the two leaders, if the two principals have had a discussion, and it's entirely possible that over dinner or this morning, they have discussed what they're going to talk about before their groups of officials and others. So that's very important. Then most of the decisions are already taken. It's much easier then to go forward on the decision as far as the decision-making process is concerned. And there's so much to discuss. Italy is a G7 country. There are only 7 countries with that kind of economic, that are economic powerhouses, to be in the G7, and 4 of them are European. And this is a moment of great strategic disquiet because there are 2 major wars going on, Iran and Russia-Ukraine. Now, that apart, and the problems those cause to the world, you have the FTA and the aftermath, all positive, hopefully, then closer defense cooperation, closer ties in innovation, technology, culture, art. Italy and India call themselves the 2 cultural superpowers of the world. Now, if there is so much to discuss, then the fact that they met earlier, the fact that they've had a chat over dinner and this morning clearly suggests that in these periods of conversation, the 2 leaders, the 2 prime ministers have actually taken forward the decision-making process. It makes that final decision when they sit across a table so much easier.
Absolutely. And, the personal rapport, the chemistry, the camaraderie between 2 leaders often helps shape the relationship between both countries. I want to bring in Mohit very quickly, but, given the kind of controversy, the kind of reactions coming in from the opposition, it really takes away, from the seriousness of the entire visit. Of course, the focus is on the bilateral. The focus will be on the outcomes. These are just in-between moments that you see in the video.
Well, yes, in fact, Swati, and as Sanjoy sir clearly stated, that this has been happening in the past too, that when 2 leaders meet, they have discussions on the deals that they need to sign or the announcement, but there is certain warmth that 2 leaders share, or there's some light-hearted moment that happens. If you remember, is in Israel, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi went over there, Netanyahu went with his wife to welcome him, and they had a discussion at the airport only, and post that, when there was a joint statement, Netanyahu clearly told Prime Minister in front of media that I met my wife at an Indian restaurant. So that it was all laughs all around there. So these are the moments that the leaders usually share. And, these leaders also know that their followers are Gen Z. Their followers are millennials.
Just hold on, Mohit. As we speak, once again, we are getting live visuals. I'd like to go across to Srinjoy. Srinjoy, live visuals coming in, both the leaders being photographed together. Of course, like you said, these are moments when there are casual as well as formal conversations that do happen before the delegation sits, before that formal setup actually takes place.
Yes, and this helps a lot when the two principals, as in this case, have said, okay, this is what we're going to talk about. Yes, this is your view, this is my view, this is what we're going to say. Then half the work is already done. And this is something that has been happening all the time. Doesn't just apply to Prime Minister Modi, it applies to everybody.
So the formal ceremonial events taking place, Indian national anthem played by the Italian military and national bands. Let me go across to Srinjoy for more information on that. Take us through the visuals, Srinjoy.
Yes, this is the ceremonial moment, and this is where both sides, just before they begin their formal conversation. It's a very important moment. The world is watching, and this is also an important moment because of the circumstances at this point. Italy is part of NATO, Italy is part of the EU, and there have been serious problems vis-a-vis the Americans because of Italy's position on Iran. And this is something which the Americans have not been happy with. But it was not just Italy. It was also Spain. It was also the Germans. It was also the French who did not feel very comfortable with America going to war with Iran. And that point was very strongly made by all these Western European countries, all of which are part of NATO. Now, Prime Minister Meloni was very forthright about her position vis-a-vis Iran. Besides, of course, India at this point has played a very important role. India has said that it stands for peace, and it has always said so. Remember, Prime Minister Modi told President Putin that the 21st century is not a time for war. And even in the case with Iran and America and Israel, he made it very clear that India stood for peace. The earlier the war ended, the earlier there was discussion and diplomacy, that would be so much better than going to war. Now, at this point, the two countries are meeting, and Italy is a particularly important country. It is one of the 7 economic powerhouses of the world, which is why it's part of the G7. 4 European countries, America, Canada, and Japan. That's the G7 for you. And naturally, you would expect very strong economic ties after these discussions. We've already got an idea of how both countries are going to look at ports, agreements on ports. Both countries are peninsular, and that's a point even the Italians have made. Also, as far as strategic relations are concerned, Russia, Ukraine will certainly come up. Iran will certainly come up during the discussions. But closer defense dialogue, closer, lots of discussions on the IMEC. The Italians are completely sold on the IMEC. They believe that this will be good for their country, because this is something that begins in India, goes through the Middle East, and then goes to Europe, particularly the Mediterranean. The Greeks are happy with it. Now the Italians are happy with it. So that is a big positive. So everything points towards a very successful bilateral.
Absolutely. And, West Asia crisis has tested relationship between US and its European allies. Remember, Donald Trump asked the allies to come together to help open the Strait of Hormuz, Srinjoy. But one after the other, the European allies started backing off, distancing themselves from Donald Trump and the stand that he had taken. And Meloni, was someone who came directly in the line of fire. Donald Trump took some personal jibes at her, said that he believed she had courage, but she really does not. And she also took a stand, when Donald Trump made some remarks against the Pope.
Yes, that too. Yes, that must be said, that President Trump did make a few statements about the Pope, who is next door to where the Prime Minister is now. And this was naturally countered by the Italian Prime Minister. And it got to such an extent that to open the Strait of Hormuz, the Americans said that China should be involved. Not just China, but Japan should be involved. Now that shows the fragility, the current and hopefully temporary fragility of NATO. Because NATO is not just America, it is also much of Europe. And NATO at this point, is full of different views and opinions. You can see how different views are in NATO about Iran. The Germans, the French, the Spanish, the Italians all have views that are very different from America's. And America is making it very clear that they don't like it. Let's not forget that President Trump has referred to some of his NATO allies in Europe as cowards. This is the first time since 1949 that any leader has referred to a NATO ally as a coward. Nevertheless, this is the atmosphere, this is the background, and on the basis of keeping all of that in mind, you're having these bilaterals,
Absolutely.
which are going to be very important for India, also very important for Italy.
Absolutely. You know, I just want to quickly juxtapose that with how the distance between India and Europe is reducing. On one hand, European allies of America distancing themselves with the stand that Trump has taken in terms of the war as well and the multiple statements that he has given, Srinjoy. And on the other hand, India becoming a partner, an attractive one for the European countries, especially given that now we have a historic trade agreement, especially when it comes to areas like manufacturing, semiconductors, clean energy, digital infrastructure. India is increasingly becoming an attractive partner for Europe.
Yes, of course. America will always be important. America will always be a strategic partner. There's no dispute about that. Because at the end of the day, America is the world's largest power. America remains a friend. America has been very supportive. But currently, as far as the Americans and Europe is concerned, the Atlantic seems to be much wider than it actually is. And as a result, these European countries, the ones which have military power, are suddenly looking around and saying, well, what if the Americans decide that they don't want to be in Europe much longer? America has already looked at pulling out 5,000 troops from Germany. So the Germans, the Italians, the British, the French are beginning a process of rearmament. It must be said that other parts of Europe, particularly in the east, the Poles, for instance, the 3 Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, are looking at spending 4% of their GDP on defense. Also, equally importantly, Prime Minister went to at least one of the 2 countries. He went to Sweden. Sweden, for years and years, including World War II, was a neutral country. Today, it's part of NATO. Finland also was a neutral country for years. It's now part of NATO. And that is keeping the situation in Ukraine in mind. Now, as a result, Europe needs friends. India always has been a good friend of Europe. As the Italians say, the relationship is 2,000 years old.
As far as the Mediterranean is concerned, Italy occupies a critical geographic position. I want to take that question across to former diplomat KP Fabian joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much for your time. Italy, does come up as a very important logistical bridge between Europe, North Africa and the Middle East. And Srinjoy was talking about the IMEC. How do you view this summit at a very crucial, critical time when the situation in West Asia has impacted the entire geopolitical order?
Geopolitical order, or if I may say, order come disorder, is changing. And it is important for India and Italy to deepen and broaden their relations. As already mentioned, the relations go back to 2,000 years or more, when pepper used to be exported from India, pepper and fine textiles, including silk, used to be exported from India to Rome. Now, coming to our own times, there is so much that India can benefit from Italy, and Italy can benefit from India. To give one example of the former, Italian, SMEs are highly developed, and they work together in a way which I have not seen them work together in India. And as regards Italy is benefiting from India, take AI and also, information technology. Italy can benefit a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Thank you for your expert opinion, for putting things into context. We are also joined by political analyst and war journalist, Dr. Vailava. Thank you very much for your time. How is Middle East looking at this summit? The India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor is a infrastructure network that has been designed to connect India with Europe, that of course through Middle East. How important is this summit for Middle East?
Well, I believe that India as an emerging power in the region and having always eyed the European market through the access of the Arab countries make it a very important meeting, especially in the Mediterranean country where Cyprus, in Italy, Greece, these are a major country where India is focusing currently on a strategic relation with them. And I believe Italy played a major role in giving the access to the market in Europe. So I believe the channels of the corridors of the pipelines or the business that I2U2, IMAC has always been functional for India. But even there is now talk of an IMAC Plus where Egypt wanted to see an access of the Arab country through Egypt into Africa and into Europe through the Mediterranean Sea, which also give India another leverage of a presence in the region. And I believe the strategic relationship between India and Italy in particular, it represents a new format for India to make sure that it is autonomous foreign policy is being established. And I believe India is doing a very balancing act by doing the regional balancing act of the superpower and the regional power. And like when you talk of IMAC, you talk of the Quad, you talk of the G20, you talk of the BRICS. And India is taking an independent path and linking all this together. And that's a big achievement.
All right. Dr. Vailava, thank you very much for speaking with us. Thank you to Mohit, to Kritika and Srinjoy as well. Before I take a quick break, let's play out that video once again. On one hand, of course, the bilateral is going to take place, but on the other hand, the video that broke the internet and led to a massive political firestorm here in India.
How are you?
I'm fine.
See you. Thank you for coming. Okay, so here you can see the main part of almost all is important here in Rome. Hundreds and hundreds of churches here. From here I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wherever you go, you see one. The big white building. How are you?
I'm fine.
See you. Thank you for coming. Okay, so